Good evening everyone, my name's Cliff and welcome back to my channel. This is Cliff's Dark Gems. And if you're new here, welcome for the first time. And tonight I'm going to do another Stephen King video. And this is my top 10 non-horror Stephen King books. So stay tuned. Okay everyone, so this is like a response video to Nikhil from Shelf-Esteem, who put out an awesome video. I think it was last week, can't remember. Just putting out a list of his top 10 non-horror books by Stephen King. And I thought I would do the same thing. And yeah, you know, the interesting thing is that I looked online and there seems to be a kind of muddled opinion with people online about which of his works are actually non-horror. And you know, somebody even stated that The Stand, which I consider to be a post-apocalyptic horror book, is not horror. Yeah, and I think that's nonsense. So I actually went and looked through all of these books, and you're going to see from one of my special mentions that I didn't agree with one of the books. And I'm just going to say right now, a special mention, The Institute. I don't believe The Institute is not a horror book. I believe that there are very dark, horrific aspects to the book, and it's basically about these kids, these psychic kids that get kidnapped. You know, it's no spoiler right at the beginning. Parents get murdered, and they get kidnapped and taken to this place called the Institute, which is a place where they are pretty much tortured and experimented on. And there are some very, very dark parts of this book, especially, and if you read the book, you know what I mean. There's kind of the front half and then there's the back half. So yeah, it's it's not an easy book. And yeah, it's a sci-fi, it's a thriller, but there's horror parts to it. So I'm just going to give it a special mention before we get to the list. Okay, I'm going to give one more special mention because this is a phenomenal novella, but my memories of the novella are completely overshadowed by the awesome film adaptation. And that's taken from different seasons, and it's Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. Now I remember reading this when I was much younger, and even then I remember that there were two other novellas in this 4-novella collection that I enjoyed more than Rita Hayworth. Even though it's stunning, it's beautifully written, it didn't stand out as much as some of the other novellas. But the movie adaptation is absolutely exquisite. It's in my top 3 movies of all time. And yeah, it's about a man who is wrongly accused of murdering his wife and the lover in his golf club. I think it's a golf club. And yeah, he's put into this prison, Shawshank prison, and it's all about life in this prison. And this friendship he makes with this one man in the prison, Red, and it's about hope. Yeah, it's about friendship and hope in the darkest of places. It's a beautiful book, but it's one of those rare instances where I like the movie more than a book. It is a stunning movie. So if you have not seen it yet, drop everything and watch The Shawshank Redemption. Okay, and in 10th position, I'll be getting to the list, people. I've got Hearts in Atlantis. I read this also a hell of a long time ago. And I remember falling in love with this book, and I gave it 5 stars. I don't remember all about it. I know that there are 5 stories, could have interconnected. There are 2 novellas and 3 short stories. And it's all around about the Vietnam War. And I know that it takes place, each of the stories, from 1960s to 1999. So it's kind of as the war is approaching, and it's a trauma, and it's a... But the best story out of the lot, and I remember this very clearly, is a longer story, and that is Lone Men in Yellow Coats. And what's beautiful about the story is it's a coming of age, people, and it's one of his best. And it's about the friendship that this young boy, I think it's Bobby or Billy, develops with this older guy. And it's a friendship that revolves around fiction and a love of books. And also this older guy's got special ability, and he's being threatened by something. Can't tell you what it is, except that this book is connected to the Dark Tower, my favourite series of all time. But the relationship between this boy and this older man is incredibly touching. There are some amazing characters in this book that in each story they kind of reappear, some of them. So it's kind of loosely connected, but it comes together at the end very nicely. And it's just beautiful, beautiful storytelling. So yeah, that's Hearts and Atlantis. Oh, and one thing I want to do for each of these books, I've just pulled out a couple of quotes. Maybe not for all of them, but for most of them. And for Hearts and Atlantis, I'll talk about the relationship that revolves around books between this young boy and this older man, very kind man. Come to a book as you would come to an unexplored land. Come without a map, explore it and draw your own map. A book is like a pump. It gives nothing unless first you give to it. And then, read sometimes for the story, Bobby. That's his name. Don't be like the book snobs who wouldn't do that. Read sometimes for the words, the language. Don't be like the play it safers that won't do that. But when you find a book that has both good story and good words, treasure that book. Yeah, so that's it for Hearts and Atlantis. In ninth position we have Dolores Clareborn. Now this is a drama, a dramatic work, and it's got abuse, it's got some humour, and it's about this woman telling her story of her life. And the whole book is her talking to these police because she's been accused of murdering her rich employer. And she is guilty of something, but she's going to tell it in her own way. So in the back it says she has a story to tell, but not quite what the police had expected. She has a confession to make. She will take her time. Won't be hurried, we'll do it her way. And then at the end it says, she has a story to tell and you better pay attention or else. Now this is one of Stephen King's more underrated books. I really enjoyed this. And yeah, when I say there's some humour, there is some seriously funny humour in terms of the relationship between Dolores and her employee. It's a lot of hard moments, but it's also, like I said, about abuse. And yeah, her husband and the way he treats not just her, but her youngest daughter, or her daughter as well. So yeah, look, it's a fantastic story, and as I said, it's one of these underrated ones. And I just want to read something from it. In those days, I still believed the love of a man for a woman, and a woman for a man, was stronger than the love of drinking and hell-raising. That love would eventually rise to the top, like cream in a bottle of milk. I learned over the next 10 years, the world's a sorry schoolroom. Sometimes, ain't it? And then, this is obviously later on. And sometimes before I went to sleep I'd think, this is how you pay off being a bitch. And it ain't no use saying, if you haven't been a bitch, you wouldn't have had to pay. But sometimes the world makes you a bitch. When it's all doom and dark outside, and only you inside, to first make the light and then tend it, you have to be a bitch. Yeah. Excellent book. Read it. Dolores Clareborn. Okay, number 8 might come as a bit of a surprise. But this is The Answer Man, taken from You Like It Darker. Now what I didn't say in the beginning is that I'm going to use novellas and novels. I'm not going to use short stories. But The Answer Man was fantastic. And it wasn't my favourite from this collection. A really good collection. But it is one that made me think a long time afterwards. Because it's basically about this lawyer. And one day, it's at a crossroads in his life. It happens 3 times. And he runs into this man called the Answer Man. Right? Who, for a small price, financial price, he can ask questions. Any questions. And he will be given the answers to those questions. Anything. And it just poses the idea, do you really want to know where your life is going to go? Do you really want to know how things turn out? Because there's heartache, but there's also hope in this book. and it's just a brilliant little novella. As I say, it made me think a long time afterwards. I think about it. Do you really want to know about where your life might go or will go? In 7th position we got The Eyes of the Dragon. Now this is just a fun once upon a time kind of fairy tale that king wrote for his daughter because his daughter was getting irritated. They couldn't read any of Daddy's work, so Daddy wrote this for her. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I mean, I can understand why some fans would despise this book, because it is just pure fantasy, really, people. And it's almost YA. But I had a lot of fun with it, and I think if you go in with an open mind, you might enjoy it too. And yeah, about this king that's being poisoned, and it's about these two brothers. This castle, there's a tower, and the older son is imprisoned in the tower for the father's murder. But there's an evil magician, might be behind the whole thing. That's all I'm going to say. And there are Dark Tower references in this book. So if anything else, it might be a reason to pick this up. So yeah, that's The Eyes of the Dragon. Okay, in 6th position I might have another surprise here. It's the only non-fiction on this list. And that is On Writing, a memoir. Now people, don't be turned off by the fact that this is non-fiction. It is freaking brilliant. And even if you are not an author or a writer, if you're just a reader, you get a glimpse into King's past. Kind of the way he grew up. His writing adventures, misadventures, his accident. In fact, I just want to read the back here quickly. It says, in June of 1999, Stephen King was hit by a van while walking along the shoulder of a country road in Maine. 6 operations were required to save his life and mend his broken body. When he was finally able to sit up, he immediately started writing. This book is the extraordinary result. It begins with a mesmerizing account of King's childhood and his uncanny early focus on writing. A series of vivid memories from adolescent, college and struggling years which led up to his first novel, Carrie. So yeah, it's got a little bit of everything, people. It's absolutely amazing. And yes, it does offer writing advice, but I love this book. It was entertaining, sort of an insight into the man, into the king himself. And so yeah, give it a read, On Writing. In 5th position, I'm going back to this collection, different seasons. And there happens to be a little novella in there called The Body, which became Stand By Me. Awesome adaptation. But the book I remember as well. Unlike Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption, I do have memories of this novella and really, really loving it. And yeah, it's about 4 boys from this kind of a dead-end town in Maine. I think it's a mining town. And they're all kind of neglected or abused in some way. You know, and there's bullies, they face all these challenges. They have to lean on each other and on their friendship just to survive and to cope with what's happening. Be the closest of friends. There's Layla. And yeah, it's just a beautiful, heartwarming coming-of-age adventure. And they discover that there's a body, a dead body, kind of maybe 2-3 days, trek down railway lines, just got to follow the railway lines, and they decide to go and investigate. Yeah, I mean, the parents are the kind that, even if they said that they were going on like, what, a trip or something, parents wouldn't care. They just neglect these kids, so they go off on their own, and they have some awesome adventures together. But they also grow. It's a coming of age. It's a loss of innocence, and that change forever. And I want to read 2 quotes quickly. This is told from the perspective of one of the boys who becomes a writer. And he's writing the book, his memories of these are the best days as a child. And my wife, my kids, my friends, they all think that having an imagination like mine must be quite nice. Aside from making all this dough, I can have a little mind movie whenever things get dull. Mostly they're right. But every now and then it turns around and bites the shit out of you. With these long teeth that have been filed to points, like the teeth of a cannibal. You see things you just as not soon not see. Things that keep you awake till first light. I saw one of those things now. Saw it with absolute clarity and certainty. Just surely could it be talking about there? And the other quote I've got. It was still bright daylight, and the sky was a hot, steely blue. But our shadows were beginning to grow longer. I remember that when I was young. September days always seemed to end much too soon and catch me by surprise. It was as if something inside me, inside my heart, expected it always to be June, with daylight hanging softly in the sky until almost 9:30. It's a beautiful story. Read it. That's the body. Okay, in fourth position we got The Dark Tower, Volume 1, The Gunslinger. Nikhil chose Wastelands, which I absolutely love. Oh, and by the way, I'm doing a reread next month. I'm going to link my thing down below. If you want to join a couple of us, link my Discord. I'm going to be doing the Wastelands again, because we're doing a reread of the entire series, and I'm a little bit behind, so I'm going to do it in June. But yeah, I chose this book in particular because I do think that as The Dark Tower progresses, each book, it gets darker, people. It gets more horrifying. There are a lot of very gnarly elements to the series. All sorts of creatures. So yeah, I think this is maybe the one where I can safely say it's more like a fantastical western with its sort of dreamlike, mystical qualities, kind of philosophical in places. It doesn't move very fast, but I like it because it kind of is a prologue to the entire series. So yeah, that's why it's made this list. And that is Volume 1, The Gunslinger. The man in black fled across the desert and the gunslinger followed. Best lines in literature. Okay everyone, now we're getting serious. These top 3 are very special to me. And the first one, number 3, is A Green Mile. Now this was originally kind of released as a series, 6 series. First one being 2 Dead Girls. And then yeah. Now but I've also got the completed volume of The Green Mile. And this is a beautiful, heartbreaking story. It will take you through the emotional ringer. You'll laugh, you'll gasp in horror, because there are some dark moments in this book. Out of all of these books, I think this is the darkest. But it's a drama, and it's a human drama. It's a character study, and it's so many themes in this book. Kind of racial prejudice, but I'm not going to go into everything. But yeah, what is it about, basically? It's about this giant of a man, a black man, who is accused of viciously raping and murdering 2 young girls. And he's sent to death row, where he is awaiting his time to march the Green Mile, to sit on what they called Old Sparky, the electric chair. And yeah, is this man a monster? Or is there something more to him than that? Like I say, this is actually a book that made me cry silly, and I think you will too. It's so moving, it's so powerful. It also centers around this friendship that develops between this prisoner and this guard, who is actually telling the story. And he tells the story because he's an old man and he's in a nursing home, and he's going back to this experience of this year or this time as a prison guard on death row. And yeah, there's some incredible characters. Some you will love, some you will hate. There's the mouse, Mr. Jingles, I fell in love with. Yeah, it's just a powerful story. I want to read something to you. It's really, yeah. I tried to speak and I couldn't. Oh no, wait, here we go. I'm rightly tired of the pain I hear and feel, boss. I'm tired of being on the road, lonely as a robin in the rain, not never having nobody to go on with, or tell me where we're coming from, or going to, or why. I'm tired of people being ugly to each other. It feels like pieces of glass in my head. I'm tired of all the times I've wanted to help and couldn't. I'm tired of being in the dark. Mostly it's a pain, there's too much. If I could end it I would, but I can't. Okay, so there's no spoiler there at all. This is a heart-wrenching book, and it's a beautiful movie, so you really need to see it with Tom Hanks as God. I highly recommend The Green Mile. Okay, now for our top 2. And number 2 might come as a big surprise that it's so high up on my list. But it's high up on my list because it had that effect on me, people. And this is one of Stephen King's lesser known novels, perhaps. And it's from the Hard Case Crime series, and it's Joyland. Now, this is a beautiful, beautiful book. And yeah, it's a crime mystery, but that's not really what it is. It's sort of there, but it's a coming of age. And it's a story about people, and in particular this boy, the student, who's working for the summer at this amusement park, Joyland. And it's just about friendship and love and loss and growing up and growing old and their life in this this amusement park, this carnival, whatever you want, I don't know how you call it. It's so crisp, it's so real, and it's like my childhood thing. I love those sort of things. And you know, the rides and the Ferris wheels and the eating candy floss and all that kind of thing. Just this book just makes it so real. And there are times where I literally cried my eyes out. There are a few moments where really, really hard. And you know, besides this Green Mile that I've just spoken about, there are some dark moments in this book, but mostly it's about life. And it's about this student, 21 years old, just lost his first love, his girlfriend, the heartache that he's going through, and he makes friends, and he finds some unusual characters in the carnival, and there's danger and there's excitement as well, there's thrills, but just a beautiful story about people and the setting, and just I was lost, completely lost in this book. So yeah, it's funny, Joyland number 2, but I'm sticking with it. And it's also the book that I read most recently. So I read it last year, I think. Might have even been the year before, where some of these books I read a long, long time ago. So that's my number 2, Joyland. And you've got to love the cover. Oh, and I almost forgot to read this to you. We could see other fires, great leaping bonfires, as well as cooking fires, all the way down to the beach, to the twinkling metropolis of Joyland. They made a lovely chain of burning jewelry. Such fires are probably illegal in the 21st century. The powers that be have a way of outlawing many beautiful things made by ordinary people. I don't know why that should be, I only know it is. So true. Okay, number 1. And this will probably come as no surprise, people. 11/22/63. Magical novel. And if I was going to say introduce someone to Stephen King, maybe besides short stories, or someone who didn't want anything too horrific, but that wants to try and read Stephen King, I would suggest this book. It is a time travel novel. It's sci-fi, time travel, it's a thriller, it's got some dark horror aspects, not very many, and it's also a beautiful love story. I can't believe that Stephen King wrote a love story that got me so interested. I mean, it's not the perfect love story, what is? But yeah, it's beautiful. And probably the best ending. I'm not going to spoil anything. And the funny thing is with the ending of this book is that Joe Hill, his son, actually persuaded him to change the ending because he had a different ending. And it's no. Gonna cry now, but it's beautiful, and it's a beautiful book. And I did find maybe that it dragged a little bit in the beginning. I think the first time I read it, I gave it like 4 stars because of that. But I couldn't stop thinking about it and the concept of this English teacher, Jake Epping. And yeah, he finds a way to travel back to the 1950s, and he's going to live there for a time. He needs to stop the assassination of JFK. That's the plan. And you transport it back in time to this period in the 1950s. And I'm not American, but just the way that he describes this is so nostalgic. The setting, everything that you don't get anymore. and how he has to survive until that time, and he becomes a teacher. And I'm not going to go into the story, but it's beautiful, beautiful, well written. There's all sorts of themes about time travel and messing with time, and it's just a stunning, stunning story, people. And as I said, it's a love story. I want to read something to you. And leave you with some love story stuff here. We did not ask for this room or the music. We were invited in. Therefore, because the dark surrounds us, let us turn our faces to the light. Let us endure hardship to be grateful for plenty. We have been given pain to be astounded by joy. We have been given life to deny death. We did not ask for this room or this music, but because we are here, let us dance. But I believe in love, you know. Love is a uniquely portable magic. Where have I heard that before? I don't think it's in the stars, but I do believe the blood calls to blood, and mind calls to mind, and heart calls to heart. Beautiful. This is a novel I gave my dad to read. He's not a horror fan at all, and he loved this book. He didn't want to give it back to me. But it's a beautiful book, people. Yeah, 11/22/63. Okay, everyone, so that's my top 10 video for tonight. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what your favorite Stephen King non-horror books are. And remember, this is my list, so be gentle. It's just opinions. I love these stories. Some of them might have been put in different positions, but I don't know, maybe on a reread. But I'd love to hear from you. I always love to hear from you down in the comments. Have a chat with me. And yeah, take care of yourselves, everyone. Look after yourselves. Keep those pages turning, and cheers.